Gallery mode. What's up, man?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm wonderful. Yeah.
So well.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you just came back from a huge trip. How are you
Huge
feeling?
trip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In Europe, right?
in Europe. Yeah, we went skiing in Zermatt and then in the Dolomites with the kids.
Wow.
Children
Exciting.
6 and Scouts 3, and yeah, it's a good segue into some of what we can touch on today because
Yeah.
it was a very rich and full experience. A lot
Nice.
of core memories made, both good and challenging.
Yeah. Cool. I love it. Sounds like the work, man. Okay. Cool. So I'll just set up a little intro for this conversation between Riley and I. Um, we completed a 6 month partnership a few months back, and it was uh, it was a really fun, beautiful, powerful, creative experience for both of us. And as we were talking about testimony of our work, and we also had like a running joke that we wanted to be on a podcast. So we're like, let's create a conversation and we'll
Yeah.
record it. But yeah, this is really like an opportunity to unpack Riley's experience of what it was like to step into coaching, specifically in partnership with me, and really like we like to give people who might follow some of my stuff or who might have even considered working with the coach or receiving some level of support in their process and their journey to just get a better understanding of like what it's actually like, how it goes, and what unfolded. And before I kind of start opening up to some dialogue, I just want to share Riley was one of the people that I brought into my work at a time where I was like really like at a evolutionary integrative part of my process. And what I invited him into was a container that was grounded in this idea of stepping into or stepping out of the old paradigm of self-improvement, which is just this endless, basically this endless hamster wheel of like continuing to improve things about ourselves, um, whether it's making more money, feeling better about your life, creating a better relationship, whatever it might be, some external improvement project that actually just like fundamentally covers up some deeper self deficiency at its core. And and what I found was a lot of my work, inherently is like kind of could it can do that. Coaching can totally do that, and it's not wrong or bad. But I want to invite people into this new paradigm of what I call self unfoldment. And so that was really exciting. He was like totally bought into like stepping into that, which is really okay, cool. If we're not improving ourselves to fix something that's wrong or broken about us, and what are we doing? And we kind of stepped into this work as an experiment. Yeah, what are we doing? How do we actually deepen contact with who we are, what it means to be us, what makes us feel most alive, and and how do we start to take action and live and lead from a place that's deeply sourced and true to who we are, and not just this endless game of trying to um, cover up these deeper wounds, so to speak. So yeah, do you remember that, and does that sound true to what
Definitely.
you were stepping into?
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Are you nervous right now, dude?
No, excited.
Nice. All right, cool. So yeah, and then the last thing I'll say is like another piece of my work that was evolving at the time was like I had this idea. A lot of times people will be like the helper, the coach, or the therapist, or whatever is like the mechanism of transformation. They have like all these cool tools and ways to do things and things to try, and like they're the driver of transformation, which isn't how I operate. Although I've got some cool tools in the toolbox. And then the other mechanism is like, hey, it's on the client. So it's like Riley steps into this, like, if he wants to create transformation in his life, like, cool, that's on him. He is the modus of cultivating that transformation. And what I was stepping into at this time was that actually the relationship itself is the container for transformation. And the more depth and connection we can create inside of that relationship, that is the catalyst for deeper transformation. And it feels like it really came to life in this relationship. And we can talk more about that. But yeah, so let's dive in. So yeah, maybe just share a little bit about like where you like, because I like to think about, this work a lot of times like, hey, where am I and where do I want to go? So when we connected, for those initial conversations, like where were you? What were you navigating? What were you up to? How was life for you?
Good, not great, I think is the simplest, maybe standard or cliche way to say it.
Mm,
Our first conversation, I think you started out by saying, why are we here? Why
mm,
now? And uh, for me, I think that this past summer, so last August, uh, I had an urge to do some exploration on myself because the status quo, the life that I was living was good. And I believe still to this day that I could have continued to live that path and to have been content and um, by most external measures
mm.
fulfilled
Yeah.
or maybe the
Dude,
good.
just to be clear, and like it was really fucking good. Like amazing wife, great relationship, two healthy kids, a job in a really cool space, making good money. Like it was fucking good.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And maybe a point on that is it's all relative. And I
Mm,
think that uh, part of it is I wanted to be challenged. I think I wanted to experience things more fully, and that this description I want to acknowledge is with the benefit of hindsight and the way I am experiencing life now as a result of our partnership
mm.
and my own growth.
Yeah.
So I just want to caveat that. Um, I wanted to partner with you to understand how I could create and experience more joy in my life,
Mm,
in all of the facets of my life, despite those being already, as you said, very, very good. I think the beautiful thing about the unfolding process is I unequivocally experience more joy in big moments, in little moments. Uh, but the allure or the intent of working with you, I grounded it in joy.
mm,
And the reality of what I now experience is the richness of all of my emotions.
mm.
And so that is when I feel sad now, I feel it more fully. If I feel angry, I feel it. And I used to say things like, uh, I don't experience anger. It's not a feeling that I experience often. It's foreign to me. And the beautiful thing of working with you and understanding my emotions is I I don't approach those emotions with uh, frustration or in an adversarial manner.
Mm.
I do it in very much a uh, I lead with curiosity, and
Yeah.
I see benefit in feeling those feelings, in talking openly with Courtney about those feelings. Even in my relationships with my sisters and my parents, uh, I've been able to acknowledge
Mm.
feelings and approach them with curiosity that leads to just a richer experience. And so, yes, a lot more joy, and that's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. But I greatly overlooked uh, the benefit of feeling all of them, all of
Yeah.
the emotions deeply.
Yeah. I love it. Thanks for sharing that. And yeah, I really feel it. And I want to come back to that. And I want to go back to a couple things you said. There are two points I want to like dive into. You said you wanted to be challenged, but I have it that you were not you didn't want to be challenged in the sense of like, all right, like tell me what to go do, like take this action, like say more about like how you Yeah, like what challenge meant to you, like how you were thinking about that. Like what kind of challenge were you actually looking for?
Again, the clarity I have now is with the benefit
Yeah.
of being knowing where I am now, but I think the challenge I was looking for is living from my core.
Mm.
And at my core, I value community, I value humans, I value play, levity, um,
Yeah, okay, cool. I love it.
relationships.
So that yeah, like you're connecting to like what you've discovered is the core of who you are, which was like a big part of our work. And like how were you living out of alignment from that when we came into conversation?
Yeah, I think professionally, the pursuit of uh, scale and impact. Um, Certainly, my relationship with money and
Mm.
finance as a measure of success is something that came into our work, and uh, still is something that I work on. But I believe the challenge uh, was that it felt as though I was someone that was close enough to my core that I still felt like myself, but
Mm.
not truly making decisions with agency and confidence
Yeah.
coming from, who I am. And there was just a simple day where I walked down the stairs and said to Court, I was like, man, I feel like myself, and that feels amazing.
Mm.
And the reality is, it had been a long time since I felt that
Yeah.
fully.
What did it
You know,
feel like?
silly is the honest word.
Yeah, cool.
And that's like a big part of who I am. It
Yeah.
felt lighthearted and silly, and like we only get one of these things. So
Yeah, lighthearted and
have
silly. Yeah, I
fun
can see that.
and go through it, you know, with some
Yeah.
light and appreciation.
Yeah, I love the lightheartedness because I think like it's a nature of I think to some degree like the work that I do. Like people come into it often like pretty heavy because we are carrying a lot and there's so much and um, yeah, I think that was something like as that shifted in our relationship, that lightness, it was like we could actually have a ton of fun in dialogue, like whatever you were navigating each week. Helicopter going by. Sounds like an osprey. Um, I
You
live
would
just
know
south
that.
of yeah Marine Corps base. Um, let it pass. No, CH 53 maybe. Um, all right, so what were we saying?
Playfulness in our dialogue.
Yeah, so it started to like bleed into the way we work together. So it wasn't like all this pressure of like, holy shit, are we moving towards the goal? Like, is things working? And we actually should talk about that because that was like present early on.
Mhm.
That's a great piece actually. Um,
Yep.
but it became this lighthearted, like a deep trust of like, yeah, let's just what's here, and like we just it became a playground for creating powerfully into whatever you wanted to step into, however you wanted to show up as a dad in conversation, who you were being with Courtney, and then like how you started to navigate your career path, which was super cool. Um, okay, cool. And the second piece I want to come back to was like experience more fully. Like, what did that mean to you? Don't speak to it from the place of like caveat where you are now. Like, what did that mean to you then? Like before we worked together, like what do you think you were,
Yeah.
or maybe you didn't say that language even, like how were you thinking about it?
I didn't say that language at the beginning. I remember saying like, I did like this motion. I want to lead from the front. I want
Mm,
to
yeah.
be uh, someone that is uh, leading or rising the level of the collective tide,
Mm,
helping others. There's just this feeling I have a lot to give, I believe, to people that are important to me, to people I don't yet know, to the community I live in. Um, I didn't feel like I was day in and day out feeling alive enough
Mm,
to bring, I don't know, the fullness of me to the different components of my life.
yeah. And like it almost is like as if it felt like something was missing.
Yeah, it felt muted for
Yeah,
sure. And I think
muted.
it's
Yeah, yeah.
cliche that a bit to say that something was missing, but it's accurate,
Yeah, well,
right?
okay, that's cool, and I think that's a great point. I was reading about a writing thing today, and they're like, "Fucking don't use cliches." And I'm like, "How do I write without cliches?" And don't write about your feelings. So, if we weren't using a cliche, like what say, could you speak to it more descriptively of like how it was for you? And this is important because I think this is where people can really start to see themselves and like in their own journey and their own process and like unpacking what that next step might be for them, whoever's listening.
Yeah, it's
So the question was like, if there's not a cliche, if it's not, there wasn't something missing, like what was it actually like for you?
yeah, there was a level of indifference
Mm,
and uh enduring. What I felt was this
mm,
it felt a bit tight. Like there will be in the future a calmer, greener pasture where things are the way that I believe that they should be in my mind.
mm.
And through, I don't think it's the hero's journey, it's another, the five missions, one of the initial frameworks you shared with me, there is the notion of a wish stage.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that landed like a ton of bricks with me
Mm,
of I, as you said, like, unbelievable. Two healthy kids, wonderful wife, strong relationship, career success. I live where I want to live. And there was still this notion of like, I'm gonna endure and live this phase, but the next one, that's gonna be the one where I experience it fully and it is from my core. And I even used to say things like, this phase of life is nuts, right? And I only have
mm.
two kids, you have four. Like
Yeah,
that's something I
I'm
say.
similar. It was like this phase is wild. And I still catch myself saying it. It's like, what am I actually saying? Yeah,
Yeah. I would say it to others. I would say, no one really gives you a heads up about what this phase of life is like. And throughout the course of our work, I think it's a beautiful measure uh, of the unfolding. But I just stopped saying it, not consciously, subconsciously,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
this phase of life is beautiful,
Mm,
and it is unfolding. And uh, I think behind the scenes, there's a letting go of expectations that has been
yeah,
really,
yeah,
really valuable for me and in how I experience every day.
yeah, yeah. Nice, dude. Like that. It's so cool because like even that question I asked was kind of getting to how we work, which is like, what's it actually like? And then just being able to speak to like, what's it like for me right now? And as you dive into the, even as you dove into the, like you used words like enduring and indifferent, but then you started to like speak to like the felt sense of like the constriction and what it actually like what does enduring actually look like in our world. And it's like it even bleeds into the things we say
Mhm.
unconsciously all day long, like how's life? Oh, it's crazy right now, like, but we say that almost accepting that things kind of suck right now, that I'm like stressed out and overwhelmed with work and too busy and stressing about money, whatever. Everyone has their own version of that. But the truth is like yeah, okay, cool. And what else is true? And like, what else are we not actually seeing? Um, because yeah, it's like even, there are moments in my house where the kids are crazy and it's wild and everyone's screaming and it's like, oh my God, this is so intense. And those are big and intense. And I think we like let those just become the glasses as like the only way we see the world.
Yeah.
And we miss that, like, yeah, and it's also really slow and beautiful and like quiet and playful, and there's really like nothing that's that important. Like my kids are little, so it's like nothing even matters right now. Like, just let it be.
Yeah.
That's gonna change. So there is no other phase. Like, yeah, it'll our phases of life will evolve and we will evolve with them, but it's not to get like if we I think it's I'm just thinking back even deeper now, like that's how we grow up. It's like, all right, I go to elementary school and then I go to middle school. Oh, now we're gonna go to high school. And we start to like live for like the next thing. And then it's like, oh, now I'm going to go to college. And then we get excited about the job we're going to get out of college. We can't wait to get out of college. Like, we literally, like, college sucks by our junior year. And then you're in a job, and then that cycle becomes like what we do until we die, basically. Not for everybody, but for the majority of humans in the Western world. So yeah, I think it's cool, like, to just name that, because there is another way to experience life and being in every phase of our journey. And I think our work really like hits home on that. Um,
I also
okay.
want to
Yeah.
hit something
Yeah. Go ahead.
that's subtle that you just did that for sure differentiated this experience for me is you brought your own family and your own life and experiences
Mm,
to our conversation. And I have done therapy before. I have had a lot of benefits from going to see a therapist and professionally led operations at a mental health company. I care very deeply about mental health. Uh, in the traditional sense, therapists, it is a one directional conversation
yeah.
and it is a bit more academic in my personal experience.
Yeah. Cool.
Working with you, we certainly created a partnership and you brought your own life into our conversations. And you would even say things like, does that land for you? Is this relevant or not? And you know, 9 or 10 times out of 10, it was. But it establishes a safe level playing field and brings a lot of humility into how
Mm,
you work with. Um, I don't even think it's right to say clients, but
yeah.
how
Nice.
you
Yeah.
work with
What should I call it? I like, that's a cool, because I don't like
partners,
clients.
friends.
Yeah.
I
Cool.
mean,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Nice. Thanks for saying that, man. And yeah, and it is that is a really important piece that you named, because there's one aspect I think a lot of people are like, I'm generalizing, I don't know, right? But like I get the sense that a lot of people like wouldn't want to be, and maybe this is actually a cool, yeah, this is great actually. Because like we knew each other, right? Like we weren't like best buds or anything in college, but like we were acquaintances. We
yeah,
knew each other from a previous life, and then frankly, like more than half of my my partner base is childhood connections, college connections, former baseball, like all these different worlds that I was in. And I think a lot of people like think that's like a bad thing to step into, because there's that sense of like, well, like then I'm admitting like he knows something that I don't know, and he like I'm like giving my power over to this person, me in
yeah,
this case, and that's totally not how I create the container, or how it is in working with me. And it's and one of the things I like to say, and I think what you were saying is like how it got modeled in our relationship, was like I am like in this work, like I live this work, transformation, um, I don't know, awakening, deepening
mhm,
my contact with who I am, what it's like to be me, how to create richer experiences in my world, and really navigating um, all of the ways that I experience pain and suffering as a human too, and can I get more fluidity and agility emotionally to like navigate powerfully. So yeah, that's like I am always like in the work deeply, even when I'm in partnership with somebody else, and it doesn't mean um yeah, that actually, yeah, I don't know where I want
yeah.
to go with that, but
Well, it
that's
comes out in your writing too.
yeah,
Hopefully, people
yeah,
are, reading your writing, and there's a ton of vulnerability. And I do like the saying we're all making this up as we go.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, it's totally true here.
and there's beauty in that and fun in that. And I think it's easy to put pressure, a lot of pressure on ourselves in society's.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Because like, let's just name it. Like, for you to work with me financially, it was like an investment, probably bigger than most you'd made for any personal growth type of thing. Is that
Yes.
ballpark? Yeah.
And I have said to court, uh, it was large enough that I, for a little while, didn't mention it to court,
Yeah.
and have
That's
said it.
common.
I was like, I will just show her that this is going to be worth it. And we talk very openly about finances, but that's a
That's also
me,
pretty
right?
badass. I like that level of commitment. But yeah.
That's that's a me thing. And I've since said to court and to several other people, hands down, dollar for dollar, the best money I've ever spent on myself, and the ripple effect on for court, for our kids, for my family. I've said things to my mom and dad and my sisters that I've wanted to say for a long time, and they're not
Yeah.
even that daunting or heavy of things to say, but uh, a huge learning that I had in our work, as you know, is this fear statement of like I am avoidant
Yeah.
and not fully embracing the benefit of being very direct,
Mm.
particularly with people that you love and that are close to you. And yeah, through our work, I've been able to, it again sounds cliche, but really deepen
Yeah.
the
Well, yeah.
relationships
So
that
let's
I
turn it
have.
from
And
cliche. I'm going to do the cliche flip again. What, so
yeah,
like your dad was a big part of our work early on. Like what would
yeah,
you be willing to share an example of like how you deepen that relationship and what it might have looked like? Because like
yeah,
yeah, the little details matter, man. People can connect to that.
definitely. And I was branching off on kind of the return on investment. I don't even try to quantify this. This is like just a the money spent on our
Yeah.
partnership was uh, the best. So uh, I hope that others will take that seriously as well. Um,
Yeah, and I love the piece you brought up about like not telling your wife because usually when someone says yes right away, I'm like, hold up a second. Like, do you want? Are you going to go enroll your wife in this plan? Because then I usually know like they're either like not actually a yes, or they're
yeah,
like, fuck yeah, I got to go have that conversation.
yeah,
And it's like a fun conversation to support because it's like it's the beginning of how do we lead powerfully and enroll people in our vision for what we want.
yeah, absolutely. And
So your dad, go to your dad.
yeah, um, my dad is one of the most important people in my life. Um, and I'm just immensely grateful for him. And uh, he's been going through some health challenges, and that was part of the catalyst. Fortunately, he's doing very well now, and that was part of the catalyst for our work initially as well. And I think really underneath, my dad has always been there for me.
Hmm.
I think, yeah, if someone said, "Tell me about your dad," I'd just say he's there.
Hmm.
The guy's always
Hmm.
there, and he's been there as a father. He's there day in and day out as a friend, but a coach, a mentor, just a buddy to laugh with,
Hmm.
someone who loves the hell out of life. I'm just so grateful for him, and this was really the first time that I have felt like, oh, I really need to show up for him because he's always shown up for me,
Yeah.
and that has resulted in being able to have um, both, I think, say things that as we all get older, you don't want to have regrets. You want to say the things and share, what I just did with you,
Yeah.
share that directly with my dad so that he knows, but also be able to show up and be there. Just as he has been there for me, and that's a new transition for me that our work has helped me be able to do imperfectly, but fully.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful, man. Well, yeah, what's the emotion that you're feeling as you share all this about your dad?
Uh, Physical. I want to embrace him.
Hmm.
I want to give him a hug.
Yeah.
Uh, we had one session where I talked to you about my dad and said some of those things and probably more. And your response was something like, to be clear, if any of your kids spoke about you the way that I spoke about my dad, nothing else would matter.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
could die a happy man is maybe what you said there. And um, that landed as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice, dude. Yeah, it's like that piece is so true, but it really takes us the time and space to like embody it and feel its truth. To know that like, yeah, all the things we're striving for and searching for are often like actually right underneath our nose. Um, we're just not looking or paying attention or present to what's actually there. Um, yeah, thanks for allowing us to be witness to like who you were in this work and who you are in the world. And I think it's like it's become more evident in like the way I support, especially men. But it's like you're like this guy who has this massive heart and like um, has the capacity to like bring so much love into every relationship, into every person you connect with, and that can be really like startling and confusing when you start to access that. And then it's like how like we didn't really learn how to be loving people in the world. Like we learn how to put these other masks on and say the thing that's like a little bit less um, comfortable or loving, or I don't know, basically like hiding that part of ourselves. But when we can actually express the depth of our love in our heart, I think we start to recognize how powerful it is. And like that's where our greatest leadership actually arises from in relationship, in our families, with others, with friends. I mean, you've had some really cool experiences talking about just like the way you engaged with, yeah, maybe touch on that too. Like, I remember you coming back often talking about like the way you were in relationship with even some of your best friends from, younger years, college, where you're just like, wow, I'm just like, it's a different experience of being with them.
Yeah, there's no superficial layer. It feels like
Mm, yeah.
some of those bonds and friendships are people that now have known me for half my life, 2/3 of my life, and have seen me through a lot of phases. And even still, we live far apart and don't see each other as often as we probably would like. And so when you do, uh, you start to get in some of the more superficial type of conversations and catch ups instead of the like, how are you really?
Mm,
And really close friend of mine, one of my best friends, we went on a 3-day trip into the mountains, just the two of us,
yeah.
and we were probably halfway through our work, yours and mine, and of the 20-year long friendship, there were maybe 3 of the best days we've ever had together. I already would have said, this person's my best friend. He's like a brother. Uh, and then holy hell,
Mm,
there was a whole nother
yeah.
realm
Mm,
to access together. Uh, that all it took was us talking, being
yeah.
deliberate
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
talking about family dynamics, talking about uh, parent
How wild is that?
partnership.
That you could
What?
be like brothers, like, yeah, I love you, man. Like truly.
Yeah,
And but to like recognize like even at that level in our world, like that can be still so if when we really look and not to make it wrong or bad, it's
yeah,
just the way it is. Like the surface that's there and like how much capacity is possible below that. Um, yeah, and like when you were saying that to me, it makes me just think about like, we think we know people, but like there's so much to know about each other, so much more. Yeah.
yes. And as you say that, there's something about safety and a comfort in being really vulnerable
Mm.
and honest. And I even think with men our age, like talking about each other's relationships. This one was particularly beautiful because my buddy's wife was also coming to town. So we went into the mountains together, and then we got to come home to court my wife and his wife, and all four of us be together. And they know us as big-hearted, emotional men, but also like we came back and we're like, definitely we had cried on the drive back. Like we accessed some new stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but there's like a safety and a
Mm.
comfort in, hey, let's talk openly so that we can get to know each other, prove that we're there for each other, and also approach it with curiosity. Like we're all
Yeah, like
genuinely
yeah, like what if I don't actually know your whole story, man? Like what am I missing? Like what else is going on for you? And dude, it's just cool to know that you're just from stepping into your own work at this level, like that you can now go be that person in the world for other people to ask that, to be willing to like, because I think most of the time we don't want to ask that question. You said like, hey, how are you really doing, man? Because we don't want to deal with the truth. We don't have the capacity to be with the truth. Um,
yeah,
whether someone's like, I'm fucking miserable or I'm depressed or I'm fucking whatever, man. Maybe it's even deeper than
yeah,
that. Like we don't know what we don't want to have to be in that space because think we need to do something or fix something. But I think our work invites us into the idea that there's nothing to, we can just be with that and honor that um, and just allow it to unfold and be curious about it from like a loving, compassionate place.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. There's a thread there. Let me, yeah. Okay, cool. Let's go from there. Actually, if you could talk about like, you said this earlier in the call, like, yeah, this way you started to experience like a richness of all emotions. Like this work isn't about like feeling good all the time. In
Yeah.
fact, it's like the opposite. It's about recognizing all the other things we feel and having capacity to feel those. And then what happens when we start to develop that skill? Um, but yeah, how did you shift into like navigating your emotions with more fluidity and agility? Like, what was that process like for you?
I think there was a transition phase in feeling the fullness of emotions first. I think that caught me off a little bit off guard um, in our process. Sadness,
Yeah,
anger,
it's like
frustration
in a
with
conversation when you just get what caught up and you're like, whoa, I don't know why I'm feeling this right now, but it's intense. And then we
yes.
actually sit with it and it's like, holy shit, what is, and then we actually let it um really let it like let it surface and move. Is that what you're kind of speaking to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's the last part is the skill, at least in my perspective, that I helped uh, that I honed in working with you. The beauty is experiencing the emotion.
Mm.
The formative learning is approaching it with curiosity and not judgment. And my lower back is a great measure of my overall uh, ability to be curious and not judgmental about the emotions that I'm experiencing. For a long time, I had a really tight, tense lower back,
Right on. Yeah.
and I no longer do. I mean, to the point where I would go out once a year, and kind of everyone in my life just kind of knew like Riley's back is out again, right?
Yeah. Wow.
When you experience sadness or anger or frustration, uh, those are big parts about being human, being in relationships, being a parent, having a job, right? Uh, they can be they can set you on a course and have so much momentum that you can be sad and frustrated for a week
Mm.
per se, right? I think
Yeah.
uh, certainly with our kids, I've embraced getting frustrated and almost being excited and happy, like I'm alive. I feel that. This
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
frustrating. She is 3 years old and she's trying to learn independence and she doesn't want to put her shoes on, but we need her
Yeah.
to put her shoes on, right? Because she can't go to school without them. In those moments, that could send a day off course. right?
Yeah. Nice.
You can
Yeah. Yep.
also
Totally.
kind of live with it. And even as a parent, we find ourselves, Court does it too, like sharing our feelings with our kids. Like, Scout,
Mm.
that's our daughter. This is frustrating me. I really do need your help in this moment.
Yeah.
Uh, it certainly has made us better parents, but the skill that I learned through you is almost to kind of observe, feel it first. Don't try to pretend you're not feeling it, which
Yeah.
surely I used to do and be like, I'm frustrated, but I'm still
Yeah. Well,
gonna
it's
have
like I shouldn't be frustrated right now.
I
Like this
shouldn't
is,
be
yeah.
why am I being frustrated? Like,
Yeah.
that thread is gone.
Yeah.
Now it is like I am frustrated.
Yeah.
Okay, let's observe it. And it peaks higher, so it is felt more intensely, but it lasts a lot shorter. The
Yeah.
duration is shorter of that wave.
Yeah.
Uh, and then there's like a learning and a curiosity about it. And
Yeah.
uh, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, dude. I like to think about it's like our we start to expand our window of tolerance to feel emotions intensely, and when we expand that window of tolerance, like we can actually, yeah, the intensity often isn't as intense, and then the duration of that intensity is like lessened because the idea isn't to like there's no work where you go out into the world where you like you just don't feel things anymore. Like you wouldn't be
Yeah.
human or alive. It's like actually learning how to feel whatever the hell you're feeling and letting it just move through you as it is, and like maybe even uncovering like what is it trying to teach you and show you, um and how is it actually inviting you into this moment. Like this frustration is actually a part of you that needs to be met and loved and understood
Yeah.
and valued so it can soften, so that you can soften to your kid and meet them in this moment of their frustration, because they need you to show up from that place of presence. They don't need you coming from this part that's all frustrated and like, I get you right shoes on, which I know all
Yeah.
too well. That's probably why we don't send our kids to school, because I'd be too
That's one way to solve it. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
morning. I don't have to deal with morning rush. That's my first like societal win, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we got a few minutes left, man. Oh man, let me see. Yeah, maybe I'm just curious, like at a higher level, um, yeah, what is coaching to you, like now having, and I know you worked with like coaching in a different capacity before too, like at work, maybe. I think you said
Yeah,
that.
I've done executive coaching and I've
Yeah. Okay.
done
Cool. So like, and even therapy, like maybe just share like your experience of this relationship, and like how the process was for you, to help people understand like what the hell is, because people always ask me like, what's coaching? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I got some answers, but like, it's really, hey, I'd rather have you experience it and start to understand, what unfolds inside of the
Mhm.
process, because it is hard to, the stuff we're talking about is hard to like name and materialize. And yeah, we can do that and we can get there, but like it's yeah, I think there's beauty in the esoteric ness of it, if that's a word. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are your thoughts there? Or what do you want to share?
Yeah. I expect that it's different for everyone, right? And it is easy to now to say this was life changing because it has been, and not just my own life. I want to double
Yeah,
down
okay, but okay, hold on. We're gonna
on
come. I have to stop you right there because talk about real quick the beginning. Remember, there's like that part of you that was just like um came online that was like all worried that you weren't gonna like make the most out of this. It wasn't gonna be worth it. Like, because I
Yeah.
think everyone feels that. Because of course, it's like that's what happens when we like step into commitment. So you just name
Yeah.
that because you're going, because that's important.
Yeah. I mean, those who
Because
have
that
worked with
like
me,
really cracked open so
yeah,
much trust and freedom from that
a
point.
huge aha. Yeah, one of the biggest. I would approach these conversations with uh, goals,
Yeah, yeah,
essentially.
like oh, you're no, I remember that.
I'm
Yeah,
a operations leader professionally,
yeah,
and everyone who's worked with me knows I said ruthless prioritization, and it's all about
yeah,
KPI and data and efficiencies. And so I can do that for sure. And my mind is oriented that way. And so it took maybe 2 months probably to let that go. And
Yeah.
there was a moment of uh, yeah, just fully trusting. Uh, let's see how this unfolds. And the river analogy or metaphor really works for me. Like, we don't know which way it's going to bend, and that is part of the fun.
Yeah.
So stop trying to say at this moment in time, it's going to bend left 45 degrees, and that's when you're going to
Yeah.
find joy. I mean, that really is the wish stage. It's like, I'm going to architect this. And all of a sudden, if you relinquish it, uh, the first step for me was I would feel this urge of I've got to put the agenda together for my meeting with Bly so that we get the most out of this.
Yeah.
And then probably about 2 months in, I stopped feeling that and I stopped doing it. And then there was a series of unlocks. That in itself was a huge unlock.
Yeah.
But the process itself wasn't like we work, and then all of a sudden, huge flip of a switch, we did it.
Yeah.
It's like these small
Mm.
learnings, and let me restate that. It was these small, unexpected learnings.
Yeah. 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 Which what is what arises and
What arises
yeah.
when you drop the expectations and
Yeah.
try
And like, and
not to
it's
fulfill
important
the
to note too, like, it's like putting that way of being down, like, not only could you still be effective, like you were actually unlocking a new way of being that could give you that gave you access to new ways of creating and leading. And just to name, it's not like we like got rid of like the incredibly valuable skill sets that you've created around being this operational leader who can prioritize everything, and like that's fucking gold. But it's like that's not your automatic,
Yeah,
because that was like your way of being on autopilot. That's just like, all right, everything I do is like, all right, I'm going to prioritize this. I'm going to make the most of this. I'm going to get my data. I'm going to make sure I maximize every, and you know, it's kind of like the world of, you know, productivity and efficiency. But like, so it's such a gift when we can recognize that, put it down, and then still like turn it on when you want. Like if you go lead a company, like there's going to be incredible value in that skill set. But it's not how you want to be all the time. Can you actually choose and access new ways of being that cultivate more of what you actually want to experience?
yes.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So
That's accurate.
yeah, so you were saying like, um, yeah, cool. I'm glad we went there. Yeah, so like the process of working together. Yeah, where were you? I cut you off. Sorry.
It was, I wanted to make clear the point that it was not a binary, like, oh, huge unlock. It is a
Yeah. Yeah.
series of uh, learnings along the way. And I think in a approach, I believe that our work instilled in me an approach to life that I will carry forward for the rest of my life.
Mm.
And that approach will enable me to derive more fulfillment from the entire experience.
Yeah, and I'm just curious, like that approach was like what you cultivated or created and you know, in through our work, but it's like your way of living now. Yeah. Or
Yeah,
can you talk to that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I think agency is a big one. One of the small learnings along the way that kind of stacks up is like everything is a choice. Like you
Mm.
drove that home.
Yeah.
It's not my responsibility to try to control other people's experiences. I can be there for them, but to control their experience is not my responsibility. I can
Mm.
control my own experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
So there were a lot of learnings along the way that kind of piled up. Um, and the approach is childlike. Towards the end of our work, I talked to you about how I want to have this sign. And you're like, will you actually make this sign? But the famous Notre Dame football sign, play like a champion today. What I said to you is I want to cross out the like a champion,
Yeah.
just play today. Like my approach for me, this isn't everyone's, right? But
Yeah, nice.
for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah, cool. Some people might want to play like a champion. I don't.
Well, when I talked to Court about it, I actually really liked it. Her take on it was like just de-emphasize the like a champion. You're not saying don't be a champion, but like the
Yeah,
most
totally.
important thing, the
No, I
most
like it.
important
Yeah,
thing
you're
is
peeling out the essence of who you are and how you want to experience life, which is like a way of
and
being
that's the
playful.
approach is be playful. Like
Yeah, nice, dude. And I
be
think
playful.
that's like, fuck, if there was any gift in this work, it's like, and I think about the word ethos, it's like for us to really just for once slow down enough to cultivate a real ethos for how you want to move through the world and the way you want to live. And it doesn't get decided by somebody else. It's not told to you that you don't get it. You actually like, um, tap into what's actually true, what you know is there. It's just sometimes we just have to remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Um, Sweet, man. I don't have a fancy way to end this thing.
This isn't the
What would
end.
you say to because I don't have yeah, I don't do a lot of marketing and I mostly just create my business through being in conversations with people and really getting connected to where they're at and what they're up to and seeing if I can be of service. But yeah, if there was somebody on the fence around like stepping into getting supported or even curious about it, like what would you offer them?
I'd say you don't know if you don't go.
Mm,
One of our sayings with our kids. Uh, I knew about you. I obviously knew you, but I knew about the work you were doing for 3 years before I made the
yeah,
choice
I remember that. Yeah.
to create this partnership. And so my hope, even in recording this, is if one person finds you to be the right partner and does it 3 years sooner, fantastic. I'll never know if I would have gotten the same benefits then or now, and
Yeah,
that
right
doesn't
on.
matter. But um, I would say if someone is watching this and they are curious about if they'll get value out of the work, go do it. Don't belabor the decision anymore.
Yeah.
Jump in, and if you're gonna jump in fully.
Nice. Love it, dude. Yeah, I always say make like choose that like I like my and I got a lot of this from one of my mentors, but he's like I became someone who 10x's every ROI that anything I invest my money in, like I am the person who creates a 10x ROI on anything. And it's like, yeah, what if we chose to show up more often like that, where it wasn't about obviously all this stuff matters too, but it's more about cultivating a way of being that brings us into our deepest sense of agency, which is like, yeah, what if I just chose to make the most of this no matter what? That I'm going to guarantee to myself that I'm going to create the value in this thing.
Mhm.
And yeah, obviously, like I say that every time I step into partnership with someone. And imagine when two people come from that place, the beauty that can be created. Um, so yeah, cool. Well, thanks, dude. Oh man,
Thank you.
dude, it's so cool be to even have this conversation with you, and like for people that listen, like get to experience the joy and the play in the heart that you are, even to have that moment where you like to allow us to be with your connection to your dad and to feel that is a gift, man. And yeah, I love you, brother.
Love you too.
All
Thanks
right,
for the
man.
work.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Talk
pause this
soon.
here.